welcome to this lesson video for adding and subtracting rational expressions, part 1. There will be a part 2 that you can catch later. Our learning target, obviously, to add expressions that have both like and unlike denominators. So just as a refresher, fractions in general, how do we add them? So come on, there we go. To add or subtract fractions, they must have the same denominator. So in this example, they both have a 5. So I can simply just add across the top, and so my answer would be 3/5. Notice how I kept the 5 the same. Similarly over here, I would keep a denominator 17, since they both have a 17, and I would just subtract the top. 6 minus 3 is a 3. Okay, so we're going to do similar operations here with our rational expressions. So these guys have 4s, so the denominators are the same. So I'm able to add like terms on the top. So a 1x plus a 7x adds to an 8x over 4. But make sure your answer is in simplified form. And I know that 8 over 4 can reduce to 2 over 1. With that x still on top. And this is simply just 2x. So this would be your simplified form. Cool beans. Now this example, there's a little bit more going on, but the denominators are both x plus 2. So I can just subtract across the top, and I would simply have x minus 8. Now remember, we can't cross these x's out, because these x's are married. They've got plus or minus some number. So those x's are off limits, okay? So that would be my simplified answer. Example C, again, they both have a 5x, and so I'm just going to add like terms on the top. Let's see, I'm going to add my x's first. I've got a 1x plus a 7x, so I'd have an 8x. And then I've got that plus 2. Now, it's always a good idea to check. These guys can factor. They both share a 2. So it's always a good idea, factor it for the heck of it, and see if your fraction reduces any more. But it doesn't, so this would be my simplified answer. Okay? Again, x's don't cancel because this top one is married because of the plus 1, and the bottom one is single, so I can't cross them out. Here's a subtraction. Again, they're the same on the bottom, so that's always a good thing. 9 minus x. So I'm just going to subtract like things on the top. I've got a negative 6x, and then I've got a 3 minus a 5, so that would be a negative 2. Okay, so if I think about factoring him, since they're both negative, I think I'm going to take out a negative 2. So I'd have 3x plus a 1 left. 9 minus x. But still, I couldn't do any more canceling, so I would stop there. But it's always good to check. All right, what do we have coming up next? I think I might skip this one because you just add the tops. But let's look at this one. When you have more than one thing on the second fraction and you're subtracting, my suggestion is to change it to addition and then change these guys' signs. That will make life so much easier. So, excuse me, these denominators are the same, so let me keep the x times x minus 2. And so when I add across the top, just add like terms. 2x plus a negative x is just 1x. And then negative 5 plus a 3 would be a negative 2. Okay. Now, technically, I don't need that 1 in front. And this is an important case because take a look at this. Do I not have stuff that crosses out top and bottom? I do. I can cross out x minus 2. And so then I have an x on the bottom and nothing on top. So fill it with a 1. And there would be my simplest form. Okay? But now, this is all fine and dandy, but what if our denominators are different? So for example, we've got 3 and a 4. How do I add those fractions? Well, why don't I try to make them both turn into 12s? And so to do that, I would multiply 3 by a 4. So let me do that to the top as well and get a new fraction, 8/12. Similarly, I'll multiply the 4 times a 3, and so I'll get a new fraction, 3/12. Now the bottoms are the same, and I can just add across the top, and I'd get 11/12. Nice. And that doesn't reduce anymore. Okay? Over here, we could do the same thing. We could multiply this by a 2, the second fraction by a 7, so that way they both have 14s on the bottom. And so then the new top would be a 12 for the first one and a 21 for the second. And so when you subtract, no big deal, you're going to have a negative fraction, so what? More specifically, it would be negative 9/14, because 12 minus 21 is negative 9. Nice! All right, so let's get into our rational expressions. 4 and 5 are obviously different. So what could I get them both to be? Well, I could get them both to be a 20. Okay, but doing that, I would have to multiply 4 by 5. So that means this top has to be multiplied by a 5. And we are going to have to distribute 5x plus 15. The second fraction needs multiplied by a 4. So that would turn into 8x. Now that they're the same, add like terms across the top. So let's see, I'd have a 20 on the bottom. 5x plus 8x would give me, what is that, 13x, and then plus that 15. I can't factor 13 and 15 anymore, so there's my simplified answer. This guy's a good one. 3 and a 2. I think I would get them both to be 6s on the bottoms. I would do that by multiplying the first one by 2 and the second one by a 3. So when I multiply here is 2 times 7, 14x minus, and then when I distribute that 3, I would get 6x plus 3. But because it's subtracting and we've got these two parts, here's my suggestion. Turn it to a plus and change those two guys' signs. Okay? So then that way, when I go across the top, I can add like terms. So I can do 14x plus a negative 6x. And that would turn into what? 8x. And then I have a negative 3. I cannot factor the top anymore, so I'm done. Do we have any more exciting ones coming up? Let's see. Maybe we'll do this guy. Let's skip one and jump to him. 2x and 8x. I think I would make them both have 16x. Okay, so the idea is you can't drop anything. If anything, your denominators just get bigger. Okay, so if I make them both 16x's, I can multiply the first one by an 8, and the second group, I'd multiply him by a 2, because that's how I'd get 16. So my new first fraction would be 8 times 7, 56x. And then when I distribute that 2, I would get 2x plus 12. But here's one of those subtraction ones again. So I'm going to say again, change it to a plus and change these two guys' signs. And it'll make life so much easier, or else you'll just get the wrong answer. We know we have 16x on the bottom. And so when I add like terms, 56x and a negative 2x, I would have 54x. And then this minus 12. But now these guys share something, and let me see. I think they both share a 6. So if I take out a 6, I'd have 9x minus 2 over 16x. And here's one where we can actually do something. We could do some reducing with the 6 and 16. We could divide them both by, what is it, a 2? Is that the biggest thing they share? Nothing too exciting, but at least it's a little something. So we'd have 3 times 9x minus 2. And then we'd have over 8x. Now again, these x's don't cancel. The top one's married because of the minus 2. And the bottom one is single. So I can't, different statuses, so I can't cancel them out. There we go. That would be my simplified answer. All right, so that finishes this first part. Keep learning, guys, and you may want to view this second video if you get some time. See you next time.